Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I'm joined on this occasion by James Kearney. How's it going, James?
Yeah, doing very well, thanks. How you getting on?
Yeah, good. Was down at Fleetwood on Saturday. We'll come on to talk about that. So that was an interesting watch. And it's been a very Hearts weekend actually, because I went to the B team game on Friday night, which was a lot better viewing. Finlay Pollock was really good. There was a few good performances, but really impressed. Wanted to go along. Would have went along normally, but just to watch. But I felt had to write something up just because 3 of the first team guys were involved. So I think that was kind of noteworthy. And then finished off the Hearts weekend by going to This Is Our Story yesterday afternoon at Tynecastle. So two half production. Knocked out the park. I think any Hearts fan that's gone and watched it, I don't think anyone's been disappointed to it. So yeah, there's 2 really nice moments of Hearts savaged either side of something that wasn't overly pleasant, but thankfully it was only a pre-season friendly.
That's going to become our new catchphrase soon. I mean, we've said it quite a lot over the last few weeks now, haven't we? Just it's only a friendly.
Yeah. I know. We will come to that because that's one of the things on the running order. Should Hearts fans be concerned? But we will get to that soon because first I need to say that this episode is brought to you by our sponsors, MPH Boilers and Viessmann. MPH Boilers is a multi-award-winning family-run plumbing and heating company covering all of mainland Scotland. Recently crowned Family Business of the Year at the 2024 Fife Business Awards. Partnering with Viessmann, a German-engineered, highly awarded boiler manufacturer, they make a perfect match for homes across Scotland. That is the sponsor's message, James. What do you make of it compared to others?
Yeah, it's efficient. Shall we say? Yeah. Efficient as the boilers, I assume.
Yes, exactly. It's definitely my favourite, and so yeah, be sure to check out MPH Boilers and Viessmann if you are on the hunt for a new boiler. I know you had boiler issues, James, but I think I don't think you can choose who to go with boiler wise.
No, I'm stuck with mine. I had a terrible time, but yeah, I won't bore the viewers with it. But just one thing after another, had a terrible time with it. Yeah, but I'm sure that would never happen to you with the good people at Viessmann Boilers.
No, absolutely not. And you mentioned having a terrible time with it, which leads me on to talking about Heart of Midlothian and their 3-0 defeat to Fleetwood Town in a pre-season friendly on Saturday. So, James, you were back in you were in Glasgow. You caught wee bits and bobs off it. Obviously, I think it was a very difficult match to watch because no one seemed to be streaming it kind of live.
Yeah, I need to be sure I don't incriminate myself here. But yeah, it came and gone. Let's just say there's bits of it I caught up with, some of it not so much. Like I said, you made the journey down along with, what was it, 1,400 Hearts fans?
Yeah, nearly 1,400 Hearts fans. Yep,
which is pretty impressive following.
Very impressive following.
What did you make of the ground then? What did you make of Highbury?
Highbury was lovely, honestly. So I went down with Barry Anderson Saturday morning, and we got there, and we were both really were fond of it because it was, even though it's a relatively new ground, it was kind of old school in the fact that it was amongst houses. It looked like we were on an episode of Coronation Street when you kind of drove up to it, and then the setup was really, really good. And you look at it and think it's the ideal. I was going to say ideal lower league ground, but actually you look at it and think there's a lot of teams in the Scottish Premiership where it looks so much better than for example, McDiarmid Park, the Smithsel Stadium, so St Mirren Stadium. For a new stadium, it had both ends behind the goals were standing, so terracing, and then you had a nice main stand, and then a smaller kind of Rafe Rovers-esque half 3/4 stand on the other side. Yeah. Which and then there was a social club. They had their own bar as well. So yeah, it was a really nice setup, and I think a lot of Hearts fans probably would have enjoyed it if it wasn't for the fact that the performance wasn't great.
Yeah. Well, John, that leads us on to then, because obviously that's a nice setup. What about, what did you make of the team setup then?
Yeah, so straight away, when looking at the team and then when the team was selected, the big thing that stood out to me was Blair Spittle positioning, just because Benny is out injured. Callum Neunhoff is also been out injured. Neither have had much pre-season work in terms of work with the first team squad and who else? Am I missing anyone other than those two that are injured? Macaulay Tate was playing Friday night, so I think he got the full 90 in the low league game against East Stirlingshire. So Naismith, we asked Naismith about Spittle afterwards, and he spoke about he knows what Spittle can do as a number 10 or further forward. He wanted to see how much he wanted to kind of test him and see if he is how adept he is at playing at that position. Again, need a caveat with it was 45 minutes in a friendly. On that viewing though, it was difficult. I didn't enjoy him there. I think speaking to someone at Motherwell last season about Spittle, he just raved about him in the number 10. I think I forwarded on the stuff for you when you wrote up about Spittle. That's where he thrived as one of the two number 10s behind Theo Bair, and he just played consistently there. Just because of his versatility, he's been moved around so much during his career, and could understand maybe why Naismith wanted to try him out. But ideally, going forward, I would like to see him further up the park. If it was me, in terms of number 6s, I would have liked to see Macaulay Tate played, kind of started there, and given a chance to showcase what he can do. Can I maybe understand if Naismith was like, I want to get him 90 minutes. But yeah, it was very much, I think it was an experimental friendly, which again, you could argue that you don't want to experiment in your last, or if you're going to experiment, then I would maybe have one more friendly. So you've got at least one friendly before you play Rangers, where you've basically just setting up with your kind of almost best 11 and giving guys kind of playing them for the majority. So maybe everyone's not playing 90 minutes, but a lot of them look like they're playing, for example, 60, 75 minutes. So yeah, I'm just, that's what I'm kind of curious. I know I've gone off on tangent here with away from Spittle, but I'm just curious that if Hearts maybe could have done with one more friendly. But I know they've put loads of work in on the training ground. They've done loads of double sessions, and they will definitely be fit enough for the season. But it's just kind of maybe playing together in certain combinations. But we will see.
I do think that I think you're right. When you are try things to see how it works, okay, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I mean, you get to find out in in an environment where it doesn't really matter. The result doesn't matter at the end of the day. But yeah, I think though, particularly with the league season starting so soon, if it were me, I would probably think maybe just go into it with, like you say, having the pretty much your strongest 11 having played a good chunk of the game, and then hopefully get a win as well. Just momentum behind you going into that first game of the season, particularly when the first game of the season's Rangers, where Hearts do need to hit the ground running. I know there's been a lot said over what's going to happen. It happened over at Rangers over the summer, but if Hearts aren't at their best, Rangers will hurt them. We know that. We've seen that last season. So yeah, I think that. I could definitely see the logic in having another friendly, I suppose, just to kind of, again, get a wee bit more minutes and likes, but again, just primarily just to build that momentum going into such what will be a difficult game on the opening day of the season. I guess on Spittle as well, I am inclined to agree with you, just because I think that with his range of passing, his crossing ability, his shooting ability, I do think you want him further up the park. I think if he's in that number 6 role, I think he could probably do it fairly well in terms of the, just like Benny, just playing the short, simple passes, never losing the ball, just taking the safe option constantly. But I don't think Spittle's who you want doing that. I think you want him taking risks on the ball, because he's capable of the spectacular at times. We saw last season he scored about 4 or 5 goals that were goal of the month contenders. And he's always had that fantastic delivery from set pieces. So yeah, he's always had that wonderful right foot on him, and I just think that you're kind of like shoving him like a round peg into a square hole.
I agree. And you mentioned about like Benny having that ability to keep it safe. I just thought Blair Spittle, and this was something that Naismith described the whole team. They played too safe, and I thought Spittle played too safe in that number 6 role. I know Benny gets a lot of criticism from fans where he'll always look for the safe option, and we get frustrated when we watch him and there's a forward pass available, and then maybe he just overthinks it and just keeps it. But I do think that compared to Spittle on Saturday, that Benny is so adept, one of the best in the league at taking the ball under pressure and evading that pressure, and then you're kind of bypassing. Okay, yes, he might then pass it sideways, but he's kind of evaded the first bit of pressure. Whereas Spittle, when he got pressed, it was just a case of knocking it back to Kent or Rolls, and then there was just a lot of the ball going between the centre backs or to the full backs and backs. So yeah, I thought he maybe struggled in that sense in getting the ball under pressure and then being able to turn out of it and then kind of get the team further up the pitch.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that, I mean, after the game, that's Naismith spoke about it, didn't he? He basically just said that Spittle, it was an experiment to see if he could do it, and along with, I think it was the defence as well, decided they'd go like man for man at the back. And everything both of them kind of went, they're experiments. Didn't really work, but at least we found out now, rather than a competitive game. Which, yeah, I get that, I suppose, but it's still not great for the 1,400 or so fans that have made that journey down.
No, and I suppose the frustrating thing is that you appreciate Naismith for admitting that, or kind of explaining in detail why he's done something and why it didn't work, which was great. But also there was a frustrating aspect that what he wanted to do was dominate the ball and play the way that Hearts want to play without worrying about what the opposition are going to do. So then that's why they're going man to man. There's a couple of comments in the comment section about the defence, which we'll bring up, but going man to man and kind of exposing them. And he said that they weren't quite good enough to do that. And my frustration or worry is that this is a Fleetwood team that are in, I think, the 4th tier in England, and who are still like a week behind Hearts in their preparation. So yeah, it kind of showed that there's still a lot of work to do, and there was aspects of last season where there was a lot of complaints that Hearts they needed more bravery on the ball. Didn't really see that on Saturday. So yeah, there were definitely a few frustrating aspects. It's more like kind of, I think it'll only be the first few weeks of the season, first couple of months, when we'll maybe be able to look back at this Fleetwood friendly and see, it was a one-off, or there were actually warning signs were there.
Well, let's hope it's the former and not the latter. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, obviously that was an ongoing issue from last season, particularly in possession. People being a bit too patient at times. I mean, there was a lot of games last season, particularly in first halves of games, where it was just possession for possession's sake, to be honest. And I think there were kind of flashes of that again against Fleetwood, which is a bit of a concern. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand in terms of, like you say, getting that level of opponent, because that way Hearts will have about 60% possession, which is what they're going to have in a lot of these league games, and it's a good way of getting used to that. But again, we're still looking to see a bit more progress, I think, on the ball, being a bit more, just try to seize the initiative, I suppose, rather than just kind of, I guess the word passive is the one that keeps just springing to mind here, and like, obviously you can't play, all out sprinting around all over the place for 90 minutes, because, your players are going to be knackered, but there does still need to be, I still do get the feel that, well, there's been a good element of control to like Naismith's Hearts team. There still could be a little bit more intensity, I think, as well, about the way they play in order to try and unlock these defences and play a bit more. But again, that was another thing as well that I guess against Fleetwood, was that energy-wise, it just didn't really seem there. It seemed a bit flat as well, I think. Is that just a consequence of it's right at the end of pre-season, so players are a wee bit tired, or, should be the other way around? They should be fit and raring to go as games go on, right?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because John mentions did the Hearts players come straight off the bus but never looked up for it from the start, and that again that was something Naismith mentioned. That was something that Cammy Devlin mentioned afterwards, and I speaking to Barry about this on the way back up, and we're kind of like, you're just one. It's one that you look at it and someone just watching the game, you're either asking the question, are they, like you just had, are they fit enough, or have they been worked too much? And if I was to choose, if I was to select one of the two answers, I would say it's probably because they're just tired. Because I've having witnessed some of the work that they were doing in Tenerife, and having spoken to people around the club in terms of what they've been doing pre-season, they've certainly not been like slacking. We've done a lot of sessions, and they do train with intensity. So it might just be that, and then this normal week of training, they'll be able to taper off towards the game. And like Devlin said, there'll be plan is to come out all guns blazing against Rangers. So fingers crossed that is the case. Before we go on to talk about the switch at half time, I'll just bring in some comments here, get your thoughts. Graham says, afternoon lads, don't tend to read much into pre-season games, but defensively we seem very soft. Some of the goals we have lost have been very poor. Need to sharpen up for Saturday. Jim Og asked, what with Rowles having shown nothing during pre-season, do we expect him to start on Saturday, or Nace be going for someone else? And Sydney Divine says, travelled down on Saturday, 4 of us, enjoyed the Pleasure Beach, and then on to the game. Defensively, we seemed weak at the back with balls over the top and down our right-hand side. So yeah, that's there were concerns, but we kind of touched on it, just the way Hearts were playing, that they went man for man at the back, and there was definitely more space open, and we saw that at the start of last season, where, for example, like the St Mirren game when we lost 1-0, and we saw that Raul struggled, and yeah, Raul didn't look at his best. Looking ahead to Saturday, I'd still expect him to start, just because of the fact that, kind of coming on to talk about the second half, we switched to a back three, and I think reading between the lines, or just taking an educated guess, I think Hearts will start with a back three against Rangers on Saturday. And I thought maybe Saturday there against Fleetwood was like, right, let's see how we do in a back four and play our way. As I said, didn't work. Weren't good enough to do that. So that's what makes me think that Rowles will play left-hand side at a back three, which I think is his best position, or where he's most suited or comfortable.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely fair to say. And I mean, certainly we know that there's been a couple of games against Rangers last season as well, where Hearts did have the back four. Rowles was playing that left centre half, and Dessers to give him a bit of a torrid time on a couple of, I'm thinking particularly the League Cup semi-final, I think it was. Where
the other one was when they lost 5-0 at Ibrox.
5-0 at Ibrox as well. We had a really difficult afternoon that day. So I think the back three is probably most likely to come in for the game on Saturday, just for the reasons you said. Again, just gives that extra kind of degree of defensive solidity, particularly helps out. I think particularly down that of Hearts' left-hand side, you look at it and you go, if it's a back four, you got Penrice, who's just in the team, he's still adapting. Again, probably a bit more offensively capable than he is defensively, I would argue. But obviously he is a defender first and foremost, but in terms on the scale of like fullbacks, he's probably an offensive fullback rather than a defensive one. And then right next to you, you've got Rowles, who again, we've seen last season can have off days, can struggle sometimes in those physical battles and in those 1v1s. So I would think that in order to just kind of really best protect that flank, if you've got Penrice playing as a wing back and Rowles in providing the cover in behind, that solves the Penrice. That brings a lot more defensive solidity there. And then you've still got two centre halves further over that can then drift across to maintain that numerical advantage. So I think that makes a lot of sense for Saturday. But I mean, I don't know, how did it look for you against Fleetwood that second half then?
I think it started better. I just felt that Hearts had a better balance to the team when they were in the back three, and so Penrice, when it started, Penrice was left back, and it was Oyegoki that was right wing back. But I'd imagine, if, for example, if we get to Saturday, we'll preview the game later on in the week. I would imagine Taylor would be the right wing back and Oyegoki would be the right centre back. So yeah, started off fine. I just looked better. I thought Vargas and I think it was Sydney mentions that Shankland needs to play the 10 and Vargas up top. Vargas just added that injection of pace and energy in the final third, and certainly got his chance early on. And Hearts has never really built on that. So again, it was slightly better after in the second half, but wasn't a massive improvement. Scott says, I heard Grant was the best Hearts playing against Fleetwood. I mean, it's a low bar.
I think a faint praise there.
Yeah, but which kind of leads me on to I thought Penrice showed up well enough for his first kind of appearance in pre-season. Showed his stamina getting up and down the line, made a few good runs as a left back, and then some more really good runs in the second half as a left wing back, putting a couple of dangerous crosses. So I suppose that was one of the positives from it.
Like that's one thing as well that you're always going to get from someone like Penrice, is that he's going to work his arse off. He's going to be running up and down that wing the whole time. But you see it with guys like Alan Forster because they come through like the David Martindale school of hard knocks. Like if nothing else, he's going to make you work hard, and you're going to work very hard. I think you're right. I think he's definitely got a kind of industry of getting up and down the flank. It'd be nice to see, and also now with Cochrane gone as well, there is going to be probably a fair bit of if we get a fair bit of game time fairly soon on, and as far as Commission is going to adapt quickly.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think there's much else to say about the friendly. I'll bring in a few things from the comments before we move on. Graham says, Mackay, Dander, Spittle, Grant and Boyce can all play in that number 10 role. And right now I would say Dander's the one I would start there. And Scott Reed asks, what's our strongest 11? Starting 11, we'll probably touch on both of these on Wednesday's show because we're going to preview the season and we're going to kind of do some predictions and talk about the starting 11 because we're going to have a couple of written pieces go out on Thursday, I think, ahead of the start of the season, where both things will be covered. We've got if he signed in time, do you think Boateng could start on Saturday? If he does come in time, I think he's most definitely a consideration. They'll see obviously how fit he is, but he is the most natural placement for Benny. You obviously, James, there'll be a piece if he does sign. There'll be an article coming on the site about him. I think we might do our own short video on that. But would you, having seen what you've seen, start him against Rangers if, for example, there's Benny and Callum Newhoff are not going to be fit?
I don't think I would, and that's not a judgment on his playing quality or anything like that. There's very few players I would parachute straight into a game against Rangers.
Right. Okay.
When they've only been in the building for 3 days. I think you're right.
You weren't at Fleetwood, man. You weren't at Fleetwood.
True. Again, it's no secret I'm a big Benny fan. I think that he probably. We'll talk about it in more depth once he signs. Hopefully, and I think were he to come in, he's probably the most like for like replacement you're going to get. But at the same time, I don't know. We've only trained with the team like a couple of times. We've only just learned everybody's name. I don't know. I'd be wary of chucking him in that soon.
Yeah, but fair enough. Sydney asked any news on Kingsley when Naismith spoke to Barry Anderson last week. I think it was basically touch and go whether he would be available for Saturday. Thankfully, I think it's more short term than Benny and Callum Newhoff. Graham asks about a lot talk about the number one. For me, it's Clark. Love Gordon, but Clark did very little wrong last season and deserves to start. I imagine that topic will come up on Wednesday when we preview the start of the season. It seems like Naismith has been keeping his cards very close to his chest with his goalkeeper use during pre-season, but it's one we'll discuss on Wednesday. But personally, I think the best thing is for him to choose a number one, have one keeper and he plays consistently. Not a fan of chopping and changing goalkeepers.
Yeah, like, even the cup goalkeeper thing, because then you end up hitting points where if your league goalie's in brilliant form, and then, you get a cup game against like Celtic or Rangers, and what you're going to, and maybe the cup goalie's chucked one in the previous round, like just you end up in all these weird situations where it's like, well, no, I said I was going to play him, so I'm going to play him rather than who's the best player to play in this match. So I think having a number one and a number two, I suppose that would be my preference for how to go about it, but I would imagine that would lead to one very unhappy goalkeeper in Gorgie.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, see what the next month brings in terms of the transfer window as well. So, that'll be certainly one to keep an eye on, and hopefully, back on Friday, there'll be the press conference before the game, and Naismith will most definitely be getting asked about Gordon and Clark, I would imagine. For me, the broadcast or written press. Sydney asks, again, this is something we'll probably touch on the rest of the week. Grant is looking very fit. He was kicked up and down the park in the second half. I think at the moment he needs to play. This is, again, just speculation, but this is me just thinking out loud. I think he might have started as a number 6 on against Fleetwood, but he was not with the squad for a chunk of time because he had to go back down south for a personal matter. So, but he's a player who during the pre-season has, I think, looked pretty good. I think he started quite strongly, and definitely someone who I think is capable of playing as a deeper midfielder if required.
No, I could definitely see it. I think in terms of the kind of, I think he can be quite calm on the ball and he can be quite technical and stuff. I guess the one big thing though is that I think in order to do well in that position, you need to be consistent, and that's one thing that George Grant is very much not, I would argue. But I'm pleased that he's still here, because to be honest, when you saw like Spit and Dander coming in, I did fear a bit for Grant and think that might be. There might just be too much competition for places. He might just move on, or he might be falling out of favour. But I do think there's a good player now. I'm a bit of a George Grant apologist. Like, I do like him, like, even though he's got that thing of, like I say, that maddening inconsistency. But I do still believe, like, fundamentally there's a very good football player there, and like is again, like, some of his stats from last season, like kind of under the hood stuff, was like really impressive. Like,
I was going to say, to geek out, his underlying stats were very good.
They're very sort of, they're better than you'd think, which again, that's why we have both. That's why we have data, and that's why you have eyes, so you can kind of figure out the truth somewhere in the middle. Yeah,
and it's obviously helped, and not kind of helped him, but you'd imagine that with Denham going out on loan and then Benny and Callum Newhoff's kind of injuries, that Naismith would be reluctant probably to move him on at the moment, just if there was, for example, interest.
Yeah, just because it's particularly at this stage of the season, this stage of the transfer window. Yeah, again, it might leave Hearts a little bit short, and then you're going to chase now bringing a replacement for a guy, that actually is good enough to play in the first place. So just keep hold of him. Good to see him about.
And before we finish, we may as well talk about Hearts Standard Live, which is happening tomorrow night, Tuesday night, in Tynecastle Park, the Gorgie suite of Tynecastle Park. Myself and James will be joined by Andrew Webster and Ryan Stevenson to preview the start of the season. I can let you know a wee bit more about the night. So it starts at 6:30, but 6:30 for a 7 p.m. start. James and I will be previewing the season with Stevenson and Webster, kind of just looking at the squad, looking at transfer business, looking at kind of what to expect from this season, where feel we need to improve, etc. Obviously, there'll be some bold predictions thrown out as well. Going to have a wee quiz as well. Got some signed memorabilia to give away as prizes. It'll just be, I would say, a quick fire quiz, but we'll kind of, it's all very laid back and informal, so organised on the kind of as it goes. There'll be a wee break, and then we'll be back on after a raffle to have a Q&A. So again, those in attendance or those who just want a question asked can ask either myself or James or Ryan and Andy Webster. And we'll also kind of talk to Webster about his role as academy manager, get some more information about the guys who have signed contracts that was announced today, and then also on Ryan Stevenson. They'll definitely be showing his goal against Hibs in the League Cup, and we'll be talking about that in great detail, because it still baffles me how he achieved it, but it was a stunning goal. So yeah, a bit of hopefully just a bit of light-hearted, relaxed chat about Hearts, with the aim of making sure, well, not only just raising awareness and a bit of money for Big Hearts, but also ensuring that everyone in attendance leaves the Gorgie Suite believing that we can win the league. But we'll always have to pile everyone with booze to get to achieve that. But no, it should be a good night. You can buy tickets. They're in the bit of info, the ticket links in the YouTube description, and you can also buy on the night as well. So yeah, should be a good night.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be good fun. Yeah, very much looking forward to it. It'll be a good laugh. Come along.
Absolutely. Andrew Walker asked, how close is the Boateng deal? Had the piece on the site today. Naismith talked when we talked to him on Saturday. He said he was hopeful that maybe something will be done in the next few days. So fingers crossed, maybe something's completed this week for him. Graham says, hope you guys have a great night tomorrow at the Live 8. Thank you, Graham. And Graham also says, good luck to James as well, as I know he's leaving soon, and wish him all the best. He's been great to listen to and read his thoughts. With Sydney asking, where is James going? I missed this. He's been brilliant and will be missed. There you go, James. You're not going just yet. You're going to be around for the next couple of days.
Yes, yeah, I've still got a few more things still to get through, and yeah, I'll probably still be doing the odd bit here and there as well throughout the season. So you've probably not seen the last of me.
Yes,
thank you very much for your kind words. That was very nice of you. Thank you both.
Yes, James is going to another role in the company, but he's still hopefully going to be contributing tactical pieces and jumping on the occasional video with myself to discuss all things Hearts. And I know speaking of Hearts fans, they enjoy your contributions because it's nice to have someone contributing who knows a thing or two about Hearts, but it's not a Hearts fan and gets caught up on everything reactionary.
Yes, I'm the yin to your yang.
Yes, there we go. Well, we will leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone, for your comments. Thanks very much for watching and continuing to subscribe and support and engage. Feel free, or please do, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we would very much like to see as many of you as possible at our live event on Tuesday night at Tynecastle Park. So you can, if you are not sure, you can turn up on the night and you can pay cash or card on the door. It's 6:30 for a 7 p.m. start. But until probably Wednesday, when we will be back on to look ahead to the season in greater depth, that will be us, and have a good couple of days. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.